when you testified, just to be clear, you testified earlier on when your counsel asked you questions, and you stated you weren't seeing Huston Danker, claimed you weren't seeing him from February or March, or February, I guess, because you'd had sex and you didn't want to break up your family.
Correct. Excuse me. Correct.
You didn't want to break up your family.
Correct.
And yet, you are the same person texting Huston Danker and telling him you will be his wife, correct?
Those are the texts I sent, yes.
This story that you told the jury this morning, that you're terrified of Huston Danker, you never told it to Deputy Fengman, who arrived in your house as the first deputy.
No.
Was there for a substantial amount of time trying to find out what had happened to your husband. You never told him that Huston Danker shot him.
I did not.
Deputy Foster was the following deputy who came to your house. Your husband is still sitting, sleeping on his recliner, dead. And your children are crying and traumatized. You never said, Huston Danker did it.
I did not.
Your mother comes. Aaron Cooper comes. You never say, Aaron, Huston Danker did it.
No, I did not.
That's the Aaron Cooper, the man who you believed would protect you, and he did, in fact, protect you because he came armed with a gun. Correct?
Correct.
He didn't even have time to put on his shirt when you called him because that's what he did. He wanted to protect.
Correct.
You never mentioned the name of Huston Danker.
I did not.
Same morning, your husband, Ryan Cooper's body is lying cold in his house. You are interviewed by DCI agent Ryan Harmon, correct?
Yes.
You know why they were interviewing you, correct?
Yes.
You never mentioned any of these texts or Snapchats that you sent at 3:30 in the morning.
No.
You never mentioned that I texted go.
That's not what I text. No, I did not mention it. I'm sorry. No.
You never mentioned that at 3:31, you sent a heart emoji to Huston Danker.
I did not. I did not mention that.
In fact, it's Agent Harmon who brings up the name Huston Danker.
Yes.
And your reaction as the jury saw is, are you incredible Agent Harmon Danker? That's what you say to him, right?
What did you?
You saw that video.
Yes, I saw the video. I didn't understand what you just said.
Your reaction is, Danker?
Correct.
And you immediately tell Agent Hammond that he's a kid, correct?
He's a what?
That he's just a young man, a kid who you know about.
Yes, that's what I said.
Not what you're telling this jury today, that, oh, I was so terrified of him.
Yes.
Never mention any of that to Agent Hammond.
No, I did not.
In fact, you tell Agent Hammond, this is dumb, when he starts his line of questioning of Huston Danker.
I did.
You characterize it as dumb.
That's what I said.
Your husband is lying in his house cold. Correct?
My husband is,
Withdrawn. Withdrawn.
Ryan was dead at that time, yes.
The next day, an autopsy is performed on your husband. The same agent meets you again
Yes.
and talks to you. Correct?
Yes.
Wants to find out what happened to your husband, who you claim to this jury that you loved so dearly. Correct?
I don't know what he wanted to find out.
Well, he wanted to find out what happened to him.
I would assume so, yes.
You assume?
That's his job, is what I'm saying, yes.
He wanted to find out what happened to Ryan Cooper.
Yes.
It's not an assumption. Correct?
Yes. I'm sorry, I guess I'm misunderstanding some of what you're saying. Did he tell me I want to find out? I don't know. But yes, that's his job, so that's why he was there, yes.
And you did not tell him what happened to Ryan Cooper.
No.
You did not tell him that Huston Danker has been threatening my life.
No.
You did not tell him that I've been sending him messages where I want to hold his dick.
No.
In fact, you denied any affair with Huston Danker,
I did.
whether it's online, whether it's in person, whether it's in any shape or manner, correct?
Correct.
In 2 years pass. It's May of 2023. You talk to Agent John Talbot.
Yes.
When you talk to Agent John Talbot, it's at your farm or Ryan's farm where he lived and where he died, correct?
Correct.
When you're talking to Agent Talbot in May of 2023, you know very well that he's investigating what happened to Ryan Cooper that night.
Yes.
You have a conversation with Agent Talbot that spans 3 hours.
Yes.
He tells you, no detail is too small. Tell me everything.
Correct.
He asks you about Huston Danker.
He did.
You saw him testify here believe last week or sometimes in this trial, correct?
Correct.
You knew who was a DCI agent, a sworn peace officer in the state of Iowa who wants to find out what happened to the man that you now claim you loved so dearly, correct?
Yes.
When the name Huston Danker comes up, you don't tell him what you told this jury this morning, do you?
No.
You don't mention that Huston Danker had been sending you some messages that are threatening that have just somehow disappeared, correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
You don't tell him that Huston Danker has been sending you some messages that were very threatening that somehow disappeared.
No.
You don't tell him that Huston Danker wanted to harm your children.
No.
You also don't tell him that you wanted to have children with Huston Danker.
No.
You don't tell him that a year after Ryan Cooper's death, you are planning to have a child with Huston Danker.
Because I was not.
You don't tell him that you are planning to do IVF and that you have to explain to Huston Danker what IVF means.
No, I did not tell him about those Snapchats.
You don't tell him that you're preparing to be Huston Danker's wife and that you'll be tearing down things and that Huston Danker will need to be able to fix them up.
I told him about none of the Snapchats.
You don't tell him that on the night of Ryan Cooper's death, that an hour before Aaron Cooper is called, you were texting Huston Danker and telling him absolutely 100%, I'll remember to pick the shell casings.
I did not.
In these 3 hours that he's talking to you, you don't mention the story you've told today, correct?
Correct.
In fact, you chase him out of your property.
I told him to leave.
And you tell him to leave, and you're going to get a private investigator to crack this crime because this DCI agent Talbot and the other DCI agents can't crack it because they don't know what they're doing, right?
Those were not my words.
But you tell him you'll get a private investigator.
My words were different if you'd like me to tell you what they were.
Do you tell him?
I said maybe it's time to get a private investigator.
Okay. Why are you getting a private investigator?
I don't know. Frustration. I was frustrated.
You don't know why you're getting a private investigator?
Well, to solve Ryan's murder.
When you are the one who hasn't told this same agent what happened to Ryan and what you'd been doing with Huston.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
You want a private investigator to solve what happened, yet you have an agent who you're not telling your activities with Huston Danker.
I did not tell him my activities, no.
At that point, you knew what had happened, correct?
I did. Well,
And yet you tell him that if you knew what had happened, or if you knew, and your words, the person who did this, you will be in jail because you will have hurt that person or killed that person, correct?
that's what I said.
And you use an explicit, you swear at that point when you say you will be in jail because that motherfucker will know what's coming, correct?
I said I would kill the motherfucker myself.
I have no further question for this witness.
Ms. Watt, redirect.
We have a portion of the Snapchat messages, right?
Correct.
Were there many other messages between you and Huston?
Hundreds.
On the evening of June 17th, so while you're at the ball field, did Huston get angry with you?
He did.
About what?
I had posted a video on my Snap story of Cade batting, and you could hear Ryan's voice in the background, and he sent me a snap, very angry because I was at the ball field with my husband, again, like I was cheating on him with my husband.
Okay. So then, did you two have an argument?
We did. Several snaps were exchanged, arguing.
Okay. So the day of June 17th, while we have some of these snaps, it's not all, the whole conversation, it's not all lovey-dovey type message.
No.
You knew these things for so long. Why didn't you tell the police that Huston Danker killed your husband?
Several reasons. I was scared. I was scared of Huston. I was scared of the police. I was scared. I was scared that I had lied for so long because I felt like I was being set up. I felt like no matter what, I was screwed, for lack of a better term. I was scared of the threats that he was making to my kids and my friends. And I felt that if I kept my mouth shut, he'd leave us alone.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you, Karina.
Ms. Kodiak, anything further?
You claim, you tell this jury that Huston Danker was mad at you that night at the ball game, Ryan Cooper's last ball game, seeing his children, correct?
Yes.
So, as Ryan Cooper watches the last ball game of his children, and Huston is mad at you, he sent you a text for that?
Huston did?
Yeah.
Several.
And that's the same night where at 3:32 in the morning, you send Huston Danker a heart emoji.
Correct.
The same night he was mad at you, you send him at 3:32 a heart emoji.
Correct.
I have no further questions.
Anything further?
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Cooper. You may step down.